وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد صلاة تخرجنا بها من أوحال الوهم وتوضحنا ما أشكل حتى يفهم إنك تعلم ولا نعلم أنت علام الغيوب. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So in Hadith, we've already got one more Hadith to go actually in Bab al-Niyah. This is the second to last one. وعن أبي العباس عبد الله بن عباس بن عبد المطلب رضي الله عنهما عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. So this hadith is related from Abdullah ibn Abbas. What's interesting here is that it's related from Abu al-Abbas Abdullah, his name, his coinage. And so we understand from this that Abdullah was the son of al-Abbas, the uncle's prophet, radiallahu anhu, is that he named his son Abbas. And so we see that the love that the son had for his father, naming him after his own father. Bin Abd al-Muttalib radiallahu anhu, he mentions that the emissary of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فيما يروي عن ربه تبارك وتعالى. And so this is the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam narrating this from his Lord, most exalted and most high. That means what type of hadith is it? It's a hadith Qudsi. So we always have this debate, what's the difference between the Quran and the hadith Qudsi. And it's a bit of a, there's a bit of confusion a lot of the time about these issues. Maybe Sheikh Harun might be able to clarify some points as well. Is that my understanding of the best clarification is that obviously the hadith Qudsi is not coming like revelation, and that it didn't affect the Prophet ﷺ. Another definition I've heard is that it's like the Prophet ﷺ relating what he heard from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a dream, or it came to him in his own words. And so, which is different from the Quran, it's direct. So if I say, for example, Naeem says to me certain things, and I say to Sheikh Harun, I say, Naeem said this, I do it verbatim, word for word, this is like the Quran. But if I basically put it into my own words, I'm expressing, but I can't exactly express exactly those words, but the meaning, this is like a hadith Qudsi. It's like the Prophet ﷺ explaining this in his own words of what was inspired to him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have you got anything else to add on to that?
The second one, the one that I come across.
Yeah.
I was going to say, isn't everything really in your own languages? Because Allah's language is pure from our speech. At the end of the day, it is really our own interpretation.
Yeah.
But the second one is the one I come across.
Yeah, that seems to be the strongest here. Obviously, we know that the hadith Qudsi itself is not always necessarily mutawatir as well. It's not being, there might be, I don't know how many, if there are any hadith Qudsi mutawatir, I'm not sure. So that would be another thing. That would be a strength in itself. And so this is what we understand from these hadith. And so they're not like Quran in that we can't touch them without wudu and so forth.
If you're a scholar of the Arabic language, can you tell whether it is hadith Qudsi or not? Are you able to?
I have to sit and ponder, read one hadith and then read the Quran.
Okay.
But generally there will be something. You know when something's
No. As a part of hadith, not the Quran itself, just hadith Qudsi and the traditional hadiths which are not. Could you tell?
I mean, there's definitely when you hear the Quran, there's definitely something. But even if we have, for example, interesting, there was a bit of confusion about the famous one, which is a hadith Qudsi, O son of Adam, if we're to feel, you to have one valley or two valley. Some say that some thought that was actually Quran. Actually, that was mansukh. They say that was Quran, and then it was made. There was abrogation on that it wasn't. And so we do have sometimes a bit of a. It's not that clear distinction. So Allah knows best. Sheikh Harun can have any more to that.
I'll look into it, inshallah. Come back on that. So Zahid Bhai has, when he asked you a question, he didn't know the answer already. He's trying to cut you off. Or he's very interested, and afterwards what I do, if I don't know the answers, I give him homework.
So he's throwing him.
So I throw it at him. And he does do it. He's a very good student. He tries to do homework. Alhamdulillah.
So he says, Inna Allaha, verily Allah, katab al-hasanati wa sayyi'at. He has, now this is interesting, this word, and he says he's inscribed or he's written the good deeds and the bad deeds or shameful deeds. Now it says in the commentary, what does this mean? Amara bi kitabatiha, he's commanded the angels to write them. So Allah's decreed that he's going to write down the good deeds and the shameful deeds. What are the shameful deeds? Because sayyat means sa'a, yasu'u means something that you're a bit embarrassed. So your saw'a is your awra. so you're private, it's something that you're embarrassed. And so the idea of a sayyi'ah is it's something that you're ashamed with. It makes your head drop, basically. It makes you feel ashamed. That's the idea of a sayyi'at. Obviously we've got so many words for, khati'ah and sayyi'ah and all ma'siyah. We've got all these different words for sins, but the nuance of sayyi'at is something shameful. He says, ثُمَّ بَيَّنَ ذَلِكَ, and then he clarifies that. He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordained the good deeds and the shameful deeds. ثُمَّ بَيَّنَ ذَلِكَ, he clarifies that. فَمَنْ هَمَّ بِحَسَنَةٍ فَلَمْ يَعْمَلْهَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى عِنْدَهُ حَسَنَةً كَامِلَةً. He says, whoever hamma, he has ham basically, he feels like a resolve to do something, he feels that push, the impetus to do something. What here? A good deed. فَلَمْ يَعْمَلْهَا كَتَبَهُ اللَّهُ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى عِنْدَهُ حَسَنَةً كَامِلَةً. Allah writes that down, most exalted and most high, before him. This is very important. It's عِنْدَهُ. عِنْدَ is it means as if it's before him, so it's something special. When we say the أَجْرُهُ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ, his reward is with Allah, it means basically it's something very precious. It's like in the vicinity of Allah, metaphorically. So if something's in your vicinity, it's something very precious in the company of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah's going to write that down, something so special with him that he's going to share with you on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah. When you're there before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will see that good deed. He said, so what we understand from this is ham means you're really determined to do it. So it's not someone sitting there and just imagining, if I do this, I'm going to do Hajj this year, I'll get the reward. It's not like that. You actually have ham, you have determination to do Hajj. If it doesn't actually work out for you, then it's written for you, because you took all the means and you wish to perform it. And in fact, more often than not, Allah actually rewards that more than the one that you don't perform, because there's even more sincerity in it. Whilst if you actually carry out the act, then it can become tainted. But that one where you wish you could really do it, and then you can't do it, there's sometimes even greater reward in that. It says, عنده حسنات كاملة فإن هم بها فعملها كتبه الله عشر حسنات. But if he is determined to do it and he manages to carry it out, Allah writes it down as 10 إلى 700 ضعف إلى أضعاف كثيرة. So there's no stipulated reward. It says at least 10 up to 700 ضعف إلى أضعاف, multiplied by 700 إلى أضعاف, even to more than that, because we know that with fasting, it says that Allah says basically that that reward is even hidden to us, how great that reward is, fasting. And so there's no defined reward. It's limited to 10, but depending on a lot of sincerity. And why is fasting greater generally than all other acts? Is because it's one of the most sincere acts, because no one can see it whatsoever. The only way that you can really, all the other acts generally you can expose, people can see it. With fasting, it's impossible for someone to see you're fasting because it's a non-act. The only way that you can expose it is if you say, "Do you know I'm fasting?" And that's, that just seems the antithesis of fasting, because you really have to go out to tell someone I've done that thing, because no one can see it. It's a non-act, whilst everything else is an act. So what's amazing about this is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards us by our intentions, by us striving regardless of the results. I spoke about this previously, is that Allah's not, He doesn't ask for us that we actually carry the thing out. He asks for us to strive. So a lot of us, we fall into the trap, and it says, it's not going to work out, what's the point? But that's not important for us as Muslims. I don't know if it's a hadith, Sheikh Ali can help me, I'll put the pressure on Sheikh Ali all the time, is that, even if you knew that the day of judgment were to come tomorrow, you still sow the seed. It doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. And so Muslims, we shouldn't have this really negative attitude of what's the point now? It's the end of time, I might as well not what's the point of giving da'wah, what's the point of doing something for the community? They're all useless anyway. It's easy to fall into that attitude, but we're not looking at whether they accept, we're looking at what our part is. Interesting, an argument came round, someone threw in a point. They said, is there any point, is it better to give da'wah or not give da'wah? Because he says, if we give da'wah, so if they don't receive the da'wah, they could be from Ahlul Fatra, you know, they don't receive the message, and so they're guaranteed paradise. But if we do receive the da'wah, Allah says that most people won't believe. So they say, well, it seems like, wouldn't it be better, it's better not to give them that da'wah at all. But that's focusing on the person who's receiving it. We have a responsibility. But as for whether they accept it or not, that's a completely separate issue. That's not got anything to do with us. We don't look whether they're going to accept it or not. We just basically, we portray that we explain the message to them, and it's their responsibility. That's the responsibility on us. So it's about whether we're not looking to the result, if you see. We're looking to what are we doing in the process. And I believe, Allah knows best, that the Jews might have fallen into that trap, that argument exactly. Because if you know in the Jewish faith, they actually deter people from accepting the faith. They don't want people to accept it. They say it's better for you as a Gentile, a non-Jew, for you not to accept the faith because it's too hard, the religion. And Muslims, we can fall into that mentality. It's easy. You say, well, you know, how are they going to accept Islam? It's going to be too tough for them. It's better for them to not. It's easy to fall into that mindset. You know, if they don't accept it, they probably have more of a chance. If they accept it, they probably won't be able to keep up with it. And then, you know, what's going to happen to them? Their sin. So in Jewish faith, generally, if someone wishes to accept the faith, they have like this huge tests for them that's so difficult. And it seems as if they're even putting them off. And they say it's better that you stay a Gentile, it's better for you. And so you can see that in that argument, the Muslims can end up falling into the same trap. But the focus is on us. You know, who knows what's going to happen to people on the day of Qiyamah? You know, even with this issue of you know, this distinguishing between Muslims and non-Muslims, it's so judgmental. You know, it breeds hate. Not at all. You know, because if you, for example, we don't know the ultimate outcome of anybody. The reason we need to know if someone's a Muslim and non-Muslim really is to know how we interact with them. Can I marry you? How do we bury them? Their rights and so forth. It's just it's like whether you're an Englishman or an American nationality in a sense. But obviously there is a thing beyond that. Is that we want their salvation the best for them. And so if you wish someone's salvation, you have ultimate compassion for them. If you, for example, know something's wrong for someone, say sugar is diabetic and you know sugar's going to kill the person, you know, and you know that truth and he doesn't know it, you're going to strive to help him, and that's how the Muslims should see their faith, is this is going to enrich them. And so what's the most powerful da'wah for us today? It's not necessarily outward just spreading the message, it's actually showing non-Muslims how Islam has enriched our life. I think that's the most powerful, profound way of spreading Islam today, is Islam brings me happiness. Because if you feel miserable in your life as a Muslim, how on earth are you going to call people to the faith? You know, even whether it's the truth or not. It's that you use the tools of Islam to empower your life and make bring yourself purpose and passion. And people would think these Muslims, that's the most powerful da'wah, I think. It's the classic one, you know, your next door neighbour sees you come out the house, he's so happy all the time, you bring him curry every day. He's going to say, this is smart. And then he opens the newspaper and it says Muslims caused another atrocity. He's not going to believe that. He's going to say they're just crazy, because other Muslims I know in the community, they're only bring nothing but benefit. But obviously, if you don't ever talk to your neighbour or you look miserable, and then he opens the paper, it's only going to reinforce his preconceptions of Muslims. And so the most powerful da'wah is, like Sheikh Hadith and you guys are trying to do in the community, is to get, first of all, to knock down the walls so that we can interact with one another. And secondly, to show people just in our interactions how much compassion we have for people, how much passion we have and drive in our own lives, and we're passionate about finding tools to success in our life. I think that's, for us, it's so important. We're no longer the Ottomans sitting on the throne looking over the rest of the world. We're still deluded. You know, we're sitting on toilets, not thrones, and we're having to catch up. Where's it gone? It's been ripped from. You know, the Muslims took it for granted for centuries. They are the authorities in the world. It's completely different circumstances now. We have to go back to how the Muslims were in the time of the Prophet. That when it spread throughout the world, what were they doing? What's amazing about the early centuries was they didn't see the other as a problem. They were like, well, how can we learn from this and incorporate this into our faith and we clothe it in Islam with it, you know, so it's conducive to Islam and enrich people. You know, when you look at Greek theology, Greek philosophy, you know, when the Muslims reached the Eastern religions, they said, what's the actual benefits in those things, and how can we bring that into our faith and put it within the theological paradigm of our faith. That's how Muslims see everything today. With all this knowledge coming out now, this is the principles are in the Sunnah, and that I think our mission today is to bring people to that. Is that they say, look what neuroscience is. You know, I love that when speakers do that. They speak about the new developments in neurology, neuroscience, and this, and say, look, that was in the Sunnah. And people go, wow. Then they go, wow. But if we don't contextualise the Sunnah with what we're actually discovering now, people find it hard to really appreciate it because it's not real to them. They're not seeing it. And so that's what's so important. Bit of a tangent there. So it says, in hamma biha, so we're interested in striving, that's all. As for what happens, that's not important to us, and Allah leaves that affair in terms of da'wah, in terms of our actions and so forth. وَإِنْ هَمَّ بِهَا فَعَمِلَهَا كَتَبَهَا اللَّهُ عَشْرَ حَسَنَاتٍ. Sorry. فَإِنْ هَمَّ بِسَيِّئَةٍ, and if he yearns, he's inclined towards a shameful act, فَلَمْ يَعْمَلْهَا, and he doesn't carry it out, كَتَبَهَا اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عِنْدَهُ حَسَنَةً كَامِلَةً, he writes it as a good deed for him. So what's beautiful about this is Allah, the Prophet ﷺ showing encouragement to good. Notice he mentioned the good first, and he saw like all the routes to all the paths to good. But even in a bad act, there's good. There's an opportunity for goodness. When you feel that inclination towards it and you wish to carry it out, and you say no, there's even a reward in that. And so that ability to control yourself. To use the executive part of your brain, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ, look, even if you do a bad act, there's a way to make up for it. The Prophet ﷺ always gave people opportunities, not made them feel terrible, and that's a big. We've got a huge problem in our communities about we feel so terrible about ourselves. You know, it's really problematic. We've got really low self-esteem, and you know, we have to change that because the Prophet ﷺ gave people hope. I think sometimes, you know, our religious leaders, they've got issues. You know, they bring their own issues to the pulpit. And they vomit their own stresses and anxieties on us. Oh my God, I feel terrible. You came out that Jumu'ah, and I just got it stinking. You know, where's the hope? We live in a day and age where we need to hope. You know, it's really interesting because I'm doing a theme on Jannatul and Nar. Notice it's Jannah wan Nar. It's not Nar wal Jannah. But all the books, many of the books, what do they start with? Hell first, then paradise. But we have to establish a sense of security and safety first, and something to aspire for. If you start with hell, you scare the living daylights out. Like they say, children, you have to start with paradise. You have to encourage them. If you just start talking about hell, they scare the living daylights out of them. Then what's the point of paradise? That's so scary. Even when in the world of therapy, if people don't feel safe, you've got to establish safety first. And then after that you can bring, yes, you feel safe, you know what you to aspire to, make sure you don't take that for granted, there is something else. But we have to work with paradise first. I think paradise is one of the most important things, and we don't talk about it, paradise. If we were to sit down, what do you know about paradise? Well, probably you run out after 2 minutes, you know, what it actually is. But this is what we work, this is like what's in the travel brochure, you know, where we're going. And so you want to know where you're going, and so you can't get enough of that. We should talk about paradise more and more and more, so people actually feel hope again, inspired. The way the Prophet ﷺ brought hope was unbelievable. The way that he showed the man that he went into the orchard, and he said, I saw a young lady there, I did everything with her except have relations with her. I got intimate with her in every aspect. He says, and he came to the Prophet ﷺ, I feel completely broken. And the Prophet ﷺ said, make wudu, pray 2 rakahs. He says, and then that some say that's where the verse comes, in the hasanata, and in the hasanata yukibna the sayyi'at. He says, so he gave him hope, he gave him some practical thing to do something. And then don't think about it. Now just get on with it. They got, if someone did that today, where's more
stone.
I've got a stone here. No. And so this was a compassion of the Prophet ﷺ. And so we see that.
Just to add to this,
It is so important because even when we read Quran, for example, it's always Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We always start with ar-Rahman, with ar-Rahim. And if you think about like, even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used al-Aziz, al-Jabbar, al-Mutakabbir, it's, you know, it's not that much comparing to the usage of ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, al-Ghafur, al-Wadud. Allah,
we forget that.
And about the da'wah also, when you mentioned da'wah, the reason da'wah is so important now because the fitrah is not there anymore. If people have the, you know, the fitrah, as the Prophet used to say, كل مولود يولد على الفطرة. If the fitrah stay as it is, then we won't need da'wah because people would be, you know, naturally would become Muslim. But because the fitrah has changed with media, with everything, that we have to propagate that da'wah. But the question is how to propagate that da'wah. What's the, you know, the beautiful way to propagate that da'wah?
And what's the amount that we spoke about is that, for example, they took all the scriptures. I don't know if you saw this. There's an article where it talks about all the scriptures, and they basically saw what's the most prominent word that keeps reoccurring. And like in the Old Testament's full of fury, and like because they say, for example, Christianity is the origin of love, so forth. But they said no, the most prominent word that keeps occurring in the Quran is rahmah, compassion, and compassion's greater than love from one aspect, because compassion is more inclusive. For example, here's Na'im. I've never met Na'im before. I can have compassion for him, not necessarily love, because love, there is an element of I know the person, I've interacted with them. But I can, like, so for example, if Na'im's in a difficult situation, he's a stranger, never met him, and if I meet him for the first time, it's the compassion that's going to make me want to help him. Not necessarily the love, because the love is a special relationship. But regardless if I know someone or not, I can have compassion for them. Love's a different issue. And so it's amazing that this is our religion, that I believe is a religion of mercy, because it's more inclusive than love. You know, because a lot of religions, they talk about love is the most important thing. But love is a very high degree, if you think about it. But compassion is for everyone. Rahman ar-Rahim, so beautiful in this life and the next. And the Rahim being the womb, and how that basically all your needs are catered for there. You don't need to do a thing. Allah's surrounding you, protecting you in that. You know, it's incredible. And the Prophet ﷺ is Nabi al-Rahmah. That's the reality of him. He is the Rahmah. He is the ultimate source of compassion for us. وَإِنْ هَمَّ بِهَا فَعَمِلَهَا. And if then he carries it out, and Allah gives him that ability to think before he does it, but he says, no, I'm going to do it. That's the problem. That is the issue, is where you know deep down you shouldn't be doing this, and you say, what the hell of it, I'm going to do it anyway. That's when Allah takes us to account. And so, because that's the epitome of kufr, really. You know the reality, you cover it up and say, no, I'm going to do it. And so that's when Allah takes us to task. For anima katabah Allah sit, and He only writes it as one. So that's the reality of it. And so this is we've covered quite a few things today. This is the importance of reminding people to encourage them to good, and flood them with good, basically. As for warning them about dangers and so forth, there's that important element to our religion. But it's like, if you're flooding people with good to do, they don't think about the bad. If you talk about the bad all the time, you're giving them ideas. And so we have to be people of compassion, and we have to be people that basically give people give them options. That's so important. But you know, a lot of our children, how do they feel? Islam is always what you can't do. Okay? But if you give them the options, then they say, well, I feel sufficed, I don't need to do those things. It's where I feel lacking because I'm not allowed to do anything, I'm inclined towards those things. And you feel nourished. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك عما نسوا ظلمنا انفسنا ومن تغفر لنا وترحمنا ونكون من الخاسرين سبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين. Thank you very much, Yahya.